Good morning, YouTube. This is Johnny, and I am going to make a video. I've been wanting to make a shelf tour video, and it's kind of difficult because you have to get right angles, you got to get the right camera level, tripods. It's just really difficult, and lighting. But today is August the 3rd, 2024. It is 8:53 in the morning, and I'm sitting in my study on the floor because I wanted to show you these books. And for some reason, my eyes are blurry and my glasses are not focusing, and so I'm looking into what I'm filming, and all I see is blur. I don't know, my eyes are not functioning, but anyway. So yeah, today's August the 3rd. It's in the morning here in Southwest Michigan, and people always want to see shelf tours, and it's very difficult because my library is on bookcases and books behind bookcases. It's just really very difficult to do shelf tours because the shelves are blocked. But this reason why I'm going to show you this is that I was reading a book I got in the mail this week called The Unknowable in Early Modern Thought, Natural Philosophy, and the Poetics of the Ineffable by Killeen. And I won't go into the book, but because it's a very complex book and I'm not good at summarizing things into concise little paragraphs, but it looks at the 17th century and how men and women grappled with the ineffable or the undescribable, and things like that. But check the book out. Read about it online. You probably get a better idea. But in this, there's a chapter on the book of Job as setting forth the ineffable, especially the last chapters of the book of Job in the Old Testament. Some of you people probably don't know where the book of Job is. It's in the Old Testament. You have in the Bible the Old and New Testament, and the book of Job is considered one of the wisdom books, along with Proverbs, Song of Solomon, Psalms, and things like that. So but in this book, he mentions Joseph Carlyle's very classic 17th century English Puritan work on the book of Job. And I happen to have a copy of it. Now, I had this down in the lower level, and it was behind a bookcase, and I couldn't get to it easily. I could get to it, but I had to go through tons of books, stacks of books, bookshelves. It was very difficult to get to. And so I decided what to do is that I would get it out and put it in my main study up here, and I took stuff downstairs. I emptied this shelf so I could look at these things. I bought this set, I don't know how many years ago. Let me see. I bought it from Reformation Heritage Books. It was published by Dust and Ashes Publications, Reformation Heritage Books. This was in 2001. Now this is no longer available. I saw a set online on eBay going for $650. I think I paid about maybe $150 for it, something like that, many years ago. Now I knew about Joseph Carlyle's exposition of the book of Job, which is 420 sermons, 8,000 pages. I knew about it because many years ago I bought this book. I used to buy these green Puritan reprints. This was published in, what year was this one published? It's upside down. It's called The Treasury of Job. Volume 1, William Henry Green, Joseph Carlyle, and J. Green. And this was published, I think, in the 70s. And it has a selection from Joseph Carlyle's exposition on the book of Job. And it talks about it in here. And so I knew about it, but I'd never seen a whole unabridged complete set because they're very rare. It says here, reading from this book, the work of Joseph Carlyle on this book entitled An Exposition with Practical Observations upon the Book of Job, printed in London in 1647. The first volume was printed in 1647, completed volume 12 in 1666, has been the most famous exposition of this precious, ever-current book since it was first printed. It could well be famous merely from the size of it, having comprised no less than 8,700 pages in 12 volumes, but is in fact the most famous for its content, being indeed the most practical and useful of all the commentaries ever penned on this book. All commentators who have become in any way famous for their work on Job will have to acknowledge their indebtedness to Joseph Carlyle. Some use it profitably, others have abused it shamefully. Some have plagiarized it shamelessly receiving the credit that is due to Mr. Carlyle. But none have offered to reprint it. Admittedly, the cost is high, both money and indeed needed for such a project. But now you will see it worth all any man could choose to invest in sayings of Mr. Carlyle. Well, J. Green never really completed volumes 2 or 3 of the Treasury of Job, but it was reprinted back in 2001. And what this is a facsimile of the original 1644 to 1666 edition. So if you look at it, it's Elizabethan language. It's a facsimile. It's a photocopy of the original. And this had not, it says here, in addition to publishing his sermons before Parliament, Caryl helped to produce a Greek English lexicon. Some of his last sermons were published, The Nature and Principles of Love as the End of the Commandment. His magnum opus, however, was his 8,000-page exposition with practical observations on the book of Job, published in 12 volumes from 1644 to 1666, then reprinted 2 or 3 times by early 1670s, and in 2 large folio volumes in 1676 and 1677. Neither set has been reprinted. Neither set has been reprinted unabridged in 325 years. This has not been reprinted 325 years, and now it was reprinted unabridged facsimile in 2001. So then you have here in volume 1, Exposition of Practical Observations with chapters 1 through 3, the book of Job, delivered in 21 lectures. And then you have volume 2, chapters 4 through 7, delivered in 35 lectures, exposition, practical observation upon chapters 4 through 7, the Book of Job, volume 2. And then you have volume 3, chapters 8 through 10. How many lectures did he spend on that one? It was 32 lectures. And then he did volume 4, chapters 11 through 14 of the Book of Job, 35 lectures, practical observations on Job. And then you have volume 5, chapters 15 through 17. And he preached over like 24 years, 25 years, and he preached averagely 2 sermons a month. This was lectures delivered in 23 lectures, exposition on the practical observations upon chapters 15 through 17. Then you have this is volume 6, chapters 18 through 21, delivered in 42 lectures. And these are they're practical. It's called Practical Puritan Divinity. I've read, over the years since I've had them, I've read parts of it, because Book of Job is one of my favorite books in the Old Testament. I made a video a while back on my commentaries on the Book of Job. And then you have volume 7, Practical Observations of the Book of Job. This is chapters 22 through 26, 37 lectures. It's very nice. Now, some people might find it difficult to read Elizabethan, but once you do it, you just pick it up. Exposition on practical observations upon chapters 27 to 29 of the Book of Job, delivered in 26 lectures. Yeah, you can get used to the print. I have other facsimiles. I have a Banner of Truth Trust a number of years ago published John Calvin's sermons on Job, a facsimile from the 17th century, which is I've read. This is volume, so you can see how the print. This is volume 9, exposition of practical observations upon chapters 30 to 31 of the Book of Job, delivered in 37 lectures. And then you have volume 10, chapters 32 to 34, practical observations on Job. And then you have volume 11, chapters 35 to 37, practical observations on Job. And then the final volume, volume 12, which is around about 1,030, how many? 1,000. Yeah, in the back it has it's at 1,033 pages. Then it has on the back a table directing to some special points noted in the present expositions. It's like a topics covered in volume 12. So, yeah, I was very excited to get this on Joseph Carlyle, on Job. Back in 1995, Soda Gloria published little quotes from Joseph Carlyle's classic work on Job, Bible Thoughts by Reverend Joseph Carlyle. Yeah, I bought over the Soto de Gloria publications. They published Puritan reprints. I've shown those over the years, and they did this one on Bible Thoughts. It says here, Joseph Carlyle was a Puritan pastor of the 17th century. His classic commentary on the book of Job, the painstaking work of 25 years of sermons and studies in that great book, is still one of the most sought after books on the antiquarian market. This was published in 1995. In 2001, Reformation Heritage Books and Dust and Ashes published it, and it's a classic. So it says, the most sought of books on the antiquarian market, both in 2 volumes folio and the 12-volume quarto editions. This is what this one is. This compilation of his thoughts on different Bible passages from the monumental work is the only known book by him ever to go into modern reprint. From Genesis to Revelation, this noble Puritan offers deep insights into various portions of Scripture. So yeah, this is, if you also want to read a good book on Puritan, Meet the Puritans, A Guide to Modern Reprints by Joel Beeke and Randall Pederson, is this book. It has a chapter on Joseph Carlyle, and it says, an exposition of the book of Job, 8,000 pages, published in 2001. This facsimile reprint is the first time Carlyle's mammoth work on Job has been reprinted since the 17th century. The first 10 volumes of Carlyle's work are sermons that he preached at St. Magnus. The last 2 were completed after the Act of Uniformity. Believing that the book of Job was relevant to the times, Carlyle preached from it 424 times over a period of 24 years, averaging 10 sermons per chapter. It has been said that his congregation dwindled significantly during the time. History, however, affords no evidence to confirm this report. Besides, one must bear in mind that over these 24 years, Carl preached an average of 3 sermons on Job every 2 months. Carl's sermons are full of evangelical insights, experimental description, and potent? No, can't remember the word. Applications. In true Puritan style, he brings all of Scripture and Reformed doctrine to bear on the text. His work is thus commentary combined with comprehensive work on practical Christian living. It is a treasure of practical divinity because of its exposition, doctrinal content, organization, and Christ-centered focus. Carlyle's work on Job has been called, quote, the crown jewel of Puritan preaching. So that's what's on this shelf here. A classic Puritan work, and I brought it up out of the lower level because I had read about it in this book here, and I used to think to myself I'd make a goal of reading it the rest of my life, because you could read it. I mean, it's 8,000 pages. I mean, I probably read 8,000 pages of a book in 3 or 4 years if you just sit down and you just read it every day. in the mornings for devotions. See, up here is, I showed you that these are the works of William Perkins, the father of English Puritans. This is a 11-volume reprint, but this is not a facsimile. It's a new edited edition put into modern type. I showed you this William Perkins. He lived from 1558 and he died in 1602. So this is William Perkins, which I've always wanted the works of William Perkins. This is a monumental work. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you this shelf of the practical observations of Job by Joseph Carlyle. Yeah, they're, I looked online. The only place I saw them for sale was on eBay, going for $650. But no, they're very rare. I immediately bought it when I knew it. I have bought every Puritan reprint there is, and that's just how because if you're going to read good Christian literature, you can't go wrong reading the Puritans. And you can't go wrong reading Joseph Carlyle. So if you ever see a set in a used bookstore or online, grab it. Because it's worth its weight in gold. So I thought I'd show you my set, 12-volume set of Joseph Carlyle, published from 1644 to 1666. Hadn't been reprinted over 300 years. Now it's sitting here in my hermit hut as I wait for the second coming of Christ. Hope you're having a good reading weekend. It is now 9:15 in the morning on Saturday. Yeah, I've been reading this book, The Unknowable, An Early Modern Thought, Natural Philosophy and the Poetics and the Ineffable by Killeen. So I'll sign off. Do pray that you're all doing well. I know this is a crazy video, but my videos are always crazy. Yeah, check out William Perkins. You still can buy William Perkins from Reformation Heritage Books. Can't go wrong reading William Perkins. Yeah, many years ago, before they reprinted the works of William Perkins, I had these facsimiles of a commentary in Hebrews 11, the 1609 edition of William Perkins. This is a facsimile, so you can see it's archaic print. I also had, many years ago, a commentary in Galatians by William Perkins, a facsimile. This is from the series of Puritan Classics commentaries. See, it's a facsimile of the 17th century edition. So I've always loved William Perkins. Of course, he's famous for his theological work, The Golden Chain on Predestination. Well, I'm just rambling again. Hope you're all doing well. Have a good reading weekend. And I got a ton of used books downstairs. Next week, Lord willing, we're going to go to a used book sale. So there's always books. But above all, as I say, read the Bible. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for the comments. And if you got any questions on Joseph Carlyle or the Puritans, feel free to ask. Until next time, bye.